All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully that's better. It took me a while to figure this out, so I am very, very sorry for all that. But hopefully you guys who were waiting in the other stream made your way over, as we have some very interesting things to talk about today, as you could probably see from the title that there's a couple of ridiculous rumors going around, but I just felt like I needed to talk about them because Anthony Martial and Federico Chiesa have been linked to Dortmund as replacements for Erling Haaland, and I just thought we could have some fun here going over probably the ludicrous of these two rumors, as well as just simply talk about what we think about them, talk about Haaland, talk about some fun things before the big matchup tomorrow against Gladbach. And yeah, we just had some real issues trying to get some of our friends over here. The other streams that we've set up today have just been not working. But regardless, we were able to figure it out, and it's all good. So let's go into the chat and see how you guys are doing today. How they want to pay for Chiesa when his value is like 70 mil. That's fair. Now, there's some interesting things to talk about the Chiesa transfer. So I'm not sure if a lot of people do indeed realize this or not, but he actually doesn't belong to Juventus. He's on a 2-year loan deal to Juve, so this is the second year of his 2-year loan deal to Juventus. And the other big thing about that is the fact that he may be not being able to get bought by Juve. It depends. Now, if Juve have the money to purchase him, they may purchase him and then flip him, which would probably make the most sense. But he's technically not a Juve player right now. And I'm just going to give you both sides, because like, if you're asking me right now, no, I don't think we're going to sign Chiesa. But the big thing that is interesting is, like I said, he is not indeed a Juve player. He's a Fiorentina player on loan at Juve. And there's a very good chance that because of the financial situation that Juve find themselves in, that they may not actually purchase him. And if they don't, then other teams can go in, probably teams with more money than Dortmund have, but it looks like Juve will have to pay around 40 million euros plus add-ons if they're looking to take them upwards of about 60 mil. So Juve will probably have to pay a good chunk of money, which they simply might not have. And it's also nice to note that Dortmund have not spent more than 30 million ever on a player. So Chiesa will probably cost around that 60 mark. And it just doesn't look likely to happen. It really doesn't. But we got some people saying hi in the chat after the interesting challenge we had getting this stream actually going. But we figured it out. What Martial? I'm surprised. Martial was so good, but he's just a one-season sensation, not Dortmund quality. That is probably spot on. There is a lot to say about him. The things that I don't like is the fact that Martial just will probably still cost an arm and a leg, which is frankly ridiculous, seeing how basically poor he's been. I don't know. I don't see it happening. I don't see Dortmund actually going in and being like, all right, Martial's the guy we want. He, to me, is a very similar player to Timo Werner. He really is. He's someone who can play in the wings. He can also play as a striker, but he's not a very effective striker. I think we can all kind of agree on that. But it does say that Dortmund are targeting him. I don't know about Martial, but Chiesa is class. Yeah, if we could pick up Federico Chiesa, I mean, he would come in and he would basically be that Jadon Sancho replacement that we were looking for. Malen would then move and become the Haaland replacement. And yeah, we'd probably be laughing pretty good. But in all honesty, I don't see that happening. I really don't even see the Martial one happening. The Martial thing is complete BS. It is, but people are tagging me in it all day long, so I just felt like I needed to come in and address it with you guys. In my opinion, there is almost 0% chance either one of these happen. I want the Chiesa one to happen because I don't know what our replacement will look like for Erling Haaland. Chiesa is very tricky. I'm sure Juve will buy him. He's important. In my opinion, if Juve buy him, they may flip him. Because I don't think Juve have that kind of money to spend on once his loan deal's up. They may just say, all right, you know what, we can't afford it. Or spending that kind of money, we may not be able to flip him. Only he will leave Juve doesn't qualify for the Champions League. Well, he doesn't belong to Juve. So yeah, there's two ways of looking at it. If Juve doesn't qualify for the Champions League, which is an excellent point you just made, they 1,000% will not be able to afford Federico Chiesa. Not a chance. If they qualify for Champions League, it's still hit or miss whether they can pull it off or not. But Juve's season right now, they're 1-2-2. Dreadful start. If they can't pull off Champions League football, they cannot afford Chiesa, then he will be a Fiorentina player, and then some other teams will be interested. But on top of that layer, Dortmund still probably can't afford him, which is just all kinds of things. But hello, Chiesa would be expensive. AF Dortmund, most expensive, is half the price of Chiesa, and yeah, that's the other big one around that. But the number one thing I hear is that Juve won't sell, and it's not true, because Juve, one, doesn't own him, and two, if Juve can't pull off Champions League football, they cannot afford him. So he may not even be a Juve player, but the biggest thing is price. Like, let's be real. 60 mil, will Dortmund do it? I doubt it. I thought Juve had an obligation to buy, not an option. That's a good question, Alex, and I honestly don't know the details of that. I could be wrong. I thought it was an option. I thought it was an option to buy. Or maybe not. Actually, I'm reading that it does look like it's an obligation to buy, and that Juve will have to pay 40 mil plus add-ons, and the deal will be upwards of 60. Actually, Alex, you were spot on. So yeah, so I guess then they may have to buy him, but they'll probably flip him, which is interesting. But that just puts all kinds of ripples in this plan, because Juve will screw themselves if they can't pull off Champions League football. They cannot afford Chiesa, but they have an obligation to buy him. This makes things very interesting. But like I said, Chiesa is in such amazing form. He's arguably one of the best Juve players last season, besides Ronaldo. I mean, I think Chiesa had a real breakout season. They'll be able to get that money. It's just that they would basically give everything they got to buy him and then flip him right away. Hi, Josh. Glad to see you back. I had some freedom after a week of exams. Well, hopefully you did well in your exams. Saying that the Martial thing is possible. Kind of hope not. If we go from Haaland to Martial, I will cry. I will cry when we go from Haaland to anyone, guys, because we're not going to be able to properly replace him, let's be honest. Emerson Royal joined Barca in 2021, and then they sold him to Spurs. It can work. Yep. I mean, like I said, more than likely, if Juve doesn't pull off Champions League football, they will have to buy Chiesa, and they will probably still make profit off of him, but they will flip him right away. Yeah, they'll more likely just grab him, sell him for more. He will cost 35 mil. No. Who will? Martial? Hell no. 50 mil for Martial. Yeah, that's a joke. Might as well spend the extra for Chiesa. But I'm curious to see what Dortmund will do, guys, because like there are a lot of rumors going around that the Haaland release clause isn't even there. So everyone thinking that we would have only got 75 mil for Haaland may be drastically wrong. We still could get full value. We could get 150 mil for him. So it makes it a little less, or a little more likely we may go out and splurge a little bit and bring in like a 50 million signing. But in my opinion, Martial is worth like 30 max. Also, he's not a striker, more of a left wide, and that's also very true. But again, if we brought in Martial or we brought in Chiesa, whoever it may be, it would just probably mean that Haaland would step up and play that number 9 role, and whoever we bring in would then technically replace Jadon Sancho. Don't go for Martial. He's a false footballer. I will support that claim 1,000%. We really need a physical striker like Haaland, but to be a Haaland replacement, in my opinion. And that's the issue. We're not going to be able to find something like that. The closest thing I can think of is like Weghorst. But Weghorst is a drastically different striker than Haaland is. More than likely, and the way I see it going, and I've said it for a long time now, we should probably see, if Haaland leaves, Haaland going to the middle, and then us picking up a winger. But it does seem like a lot of you guys would like to see Chiesa come in, which I don't blame you. Getting Chiesa will be love. It would be. He's not that bad, just out of form. He's had a few good seasons. He is, but he's just, I don't know. I think Martial's a huge hit or miss. And he's not worth 50. Not even, in my eyes, not even close. He's worth like 30. The Prem tax would bump him up to realistically 50 mil. But Dortmund are hopefully smarter than that. And again, this rumor that I read today and had a chuckle at, I wanted to talk to you guys about it because I was getting tagged in it all day. I wouldn't think too much of it. David Brooks, Trossard from Brighton are better purchases. Yeah, I like Trossard. He's having a good season too. I mean, Brighton's sitting, 4-0-1 right now? Saw an article, Dortmund will try and... Oh, send me that article, my man. If you guys don't follow me, go over to Twitter, TB_JJD. If you find any articles like that, send it to me, because he would be ideal, man. I would love... He can play as a center forward. He can play as a winger. That... I can't imagine he's going to be cheap. I'd think something more of the 50. But I still think Dortmund could go out and spend 50 if they got like 150 for Haaland. And we don't know what Haaland's going to go for. I've heard so many different rumors. Heard the release clause is BS. I've heard that the release clause comes into effect September 1st. No one really knows, but the fact that we might get a crap load of money for him might give us the opportunity to break our transfer record to someone who actually, should be a record transfer signing. Trust me, Chiesa is 10 times the player of Chiesa. Interesting. Chiesa versus Chiesa. Juve can't afford him. They sold Ronaldo. He was on 1 million euros a week. I don't think so. I don't think that they can afford him if they don't get Champions League football. No. There's no way Juve will... Unless they sell other pieces. But if they don't get Champions League football, Juve was already in trouble. Like, look at Barca, for example. They brought in Luke de Jong and lost Messi and Griezmann. And the wages aren't the whole story. I'm pretty sure if they miss out on Champions League football, Juve's in a world of trouble. It was critical last year for them getting Champions League, and they pulled it off. It's even more so this year. But I don't think personally, and from what I've talked to, that they cannot afford him if they don't qualify for Champions League football. And he's their most valuable asset, him and De Ligt. Now, if they, for example, they sell De Ligt, they can keep Chiesa. Like, there are ways around it. But, Champions League football will put Juve in a real awkward situation. What do you think about Dortmund will be... What do you think about Dortmund will be on the way to keep Haaland? Renewing him and his wages? I don't know what will keep Haaland at the club, guys. And I can tell you different ways. I mean, offer him a fat amount of wages obviously is a good route to take. It's going to depend on Erling Haaland. If Erling Haaland wants to stay at Dortmund, I'm pretty sure Dortmund can figure out a way to keep him here for an extra season. If Haaland wants out, he'll go. That's just, with the gentleman's agreement it took to bring him in, he will go. But yeah, I mean, if you want to entice him, I mean, maybe add some pieces around him, bring in Chiesa without losing Haaland. I don't know exactly what can convince him, but if you go up to Erling Haaland and be like, listen, we competed for the title this season. There's no big offers out there. We'll still allow you to leave when you want. We'll up your wages. We'll add a couple key pieces in. Maybe. But if you don't do that and he wants to leave, he'll probably go. Why are we talking about Haaland replacement? If his release clause is not real, we won't go. No one can afford him anyway. That's not entirely true. I know that there's teams that can afford Haaland, whether it's 150 or 75. And he's worth every penny. But we don't know. We don't know. We hear different stories on this every day. And I just wanted to talk to the community today. Because like I said, one, I don't believe Chiesa because we can't afford him. And I don't believe Martial will come because he's not a good player. Rude. Too expensive for what his quality's worth. Will come to the club. But this conversation is going to keep coming up. Because no one knows exactly what the future of Erling Haaland... I don't even know if Haaland knows the future of Erling Haaland. But eventually we're going to have to figure it out because he's either going to stay or he's going to go. And if he's going to go, other names like these guys are going to keep popping up. And the fact that they're popping up in a few days in a row... Chiesa's name popped up a couple days ago and now we're hearing Martial... It makes it very intriguing to see what kind of things are going on behind the scenes of Erling Haaland. But yeah, I don't know exactly what to say. It's a good point. If there's no release clause, he will cost over 150, but you better believe there's teams that can afford that. Not Barca, but maybe City. Chelsea could have probably afforded it. They're not going to now with Lukaku. Haaland will be gone for 100 million and then get Chiesa and Haller for 70. Well, Chiesa might cost 70 on his own. He has a release clause. That's the issue. And no, he doesn't. Or he does. No one knows. No one knows if the last thing we've heard, guys, is that Haaland does not have a release clause. But the thing I heard before that is his release clause comes effect September 1st. Who the hell knows? We don't. We do not know. But saying that he has a release clause is false because it shouldn't. I don't even know how to describe it. Maybe it's false. Maybe it's not. But no one knows either way. So rumors like this will keep happening because we should be able to dream a little bit. If we sell Haaland for 150 million, why not go out there and spend 70 on another player? That is realistic. If it's 75 mil and there is a release clause, I think that 70 mil is a little more unrealistic, and we probably get pushed towards like 35, 40. It's all a debate, and that's what we're doing here, because no one knows. The story around Haaland's release clause is laughable. No information on it. Dortmund should be looking into more Dutch players. I agree with that, or Dutch league players. Anthony's been linked to the Bundesliga for a while. I think he'd be an excellent pickup, but I do agree on that. Why not go get Kramich from Hoffenheim? He's a free agent next year. He knows Bundesliga very well. Robert, I agree with you. The fact that he's free, the fact that he can put up potentially 15-plus goals, I think Kramich would be a really strategic signing. And then it allows us maybe to spend that money on the wings. We have Malen there. We still have Mukuku who's developing. I'm not against a free transfer of Andre Kramich, and I've said that before on the channel. Some other people are like, no, not really the kind of guy for me. Can Malen play right wing? Chiesa doesn't like a fit. Doesn't seem like a fit. I think Chiesa would be an excellent fit in a 4-2-3-1. But I don't know. I'm sure he can. Dortmund will be better signing Tony from Brentford or Tammy Abraham. False. Kramich is good but old. And yeah, and he doesn't really fit the oh, you were saying Abraham. Yeah, I agree. No, I was confused. I thought you said better than like keeping Haaland or that. But I mean, Chiesa better than both, but yeah, I mean, if you're referring to Martial, which I think you are, you're spot on. you are spot on. I don't rate Anthony Martial. I do think, though, Bundesliga gives players a lease on life. So I don't think it's unfair to say that if Martial does come here, he may be good. But I don't know. Does Haaland really have to leave? And I don't know. It's the inevitable, though, that Haaland will indeed leave one day. But I don't know. I haven't talked to Haaland. I don't know if he's like, you know what, I can do a couple more years here. Or I'm ready to go now. No one really knows except for Haaland. But that's why we do these streams, to kind of plan out who potentially could be a target and why. And that's why, like, players like Kramich, for example, if Haaland left, a lot of money could be put into different positions and you get a Bundesliga-ready striker in Andre Kramich for free. Not always the best scenario, but you do have Mukuku there. You do have Malen there. Who do you think we will buy in January? Potentially a winger if we still stick with this 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1. But might be a loan. Maybe we do pick up like Callum Hudson-Odoi for a loan. I'm not sure, but that's kind of what I think. EPL is highly overpriced. Martial is 45 mil right now, more than Royce, Brandt, Hummels, Guerrero, Witzel, Mulla, Arnold, Cunha, Inaki Williams. Yeah, it is pure BS. We're not going to target Anthony Martial. But I think it's funny, and the number one reason I'm doing this stream is to note that names are starting to fall now. 2 days, pretty much. Two relatively high-profile-ish players for Dortmund. Federico Chiesa and then Anthony Martial in a matter of days. I don't know what it means. Maybe it means that people are starting to think that Haaland may start getting more rumors going around him. Teams are showing interest. I don't really know. But it can't be a coincidence in the matter of 2 days, two names have been targeted by Dortmund as a Haaland replacement. And when I say replacement, I go like that because Malen could be the Haaland replacement and then Chiesa, for example, could be the Sancho replacement. Would you ever consider Dybala for us? I like Paulo Dybala, but again, I mean, if I'm being realistic, like Chiesa isn't a player who's going to come to Dortmund. Lautaro Martinez, who's been softly linked to us, is not a player who's going to come to Dortmund. Dybala is not a player going to come to Dortmund. A realistic player from Serie A that could come as a more out-and-out striker could be Belotti. We've seen that kind of transfer happen before with Immobile. That could happen. I don't know if it'd be successful, but that's the type of player I see being linked to us. Martial is 26. He's a French international. He could do better elsewhere. Then Dortmund, I don't know if he can do better. I think he's a pretty average Premier League player right now. But I don't know. Like, and Martial is kind of similar to Werner, in my opinion. Not only with, like I just talked about it earlier, the way that they play. They can both kind of play as a striker. They can play out on the wings. But they're also a bit of a laughingstock in a way where they get made fun of a lot because they don't take their chances. They get really harshly criticized by English media, which isn't very fair. And I personally do believe that if Martial or Werner came back to the Bundesliga, they'd be more successful than they are in the Prem. If Martial came to Dortmund, there's a strong chance that he would be successful. The number one reason I don't want him is because I think he'd be way overpriced, and I think there's be better options out there with more like Chiesa would probably only be a few, like 10 million, 15 million more than Martial, and I think Chiesa's twice the player and younger. If Dortmund sell Haaland, would you go for Lacroix and St. Just also? I don't know. I don't find it realistic to see us going for two center backs like that. If we sell Haaland, I'm expecting Dortmund to say, hey, I know we sold him for this, but we only have this to spend, and now we're going for these two players. Like that, I'm not expecting like a wild amount. If we get 150, maybe we go and splurge a little bit and bring in maybe a decent center back like Lacroix. It's so hard to discuss it, but I wouldn't rule out one of the two if Haaland leaves. Chiesa and Trossard would be the top transfers to Dortmund. I feel from my stomach that Haaland goes to City. I think Haaland would be a good fit at City, to be honest. Dybala is about to sign a new contract. I believe that. His release clause is real as Josh is Canadian. You have no way of knowing that. You have zero way of knowing that. No one has any way of knowing if that release clause is real. They have no possible way. Because I've heard so many different sources from relatively knowledgeable journalism out there, and there's just been so many contradicting reports. So maybe the release clause is real, but who's to say it's not 100 or 120? I'll give you a timeline of Haaland's release clause. Are you guys ready? When he signed, it all was speculative that it was a 75. Then we heard that it was upwards of 100. Then we heard it was downwards of like 68. Then we heard that there was none at all. Then we heard it was effective on September 1st, so he could technically be bought in January. Now we're hearing that there's none at all. That is how it's been. So I'm not going to say that there is no release clause. I'm not, because that's naive to say that. But from all these BS reports or truthful reports that are coming out, there's no way for anyone to possibly know if there's a release clause and how much it is. No one knows. Nobody knows. So, and again, the biggest story that broke was that there was zero, which honestly, I don't know, and I don't know if I believe it. But I am Canadian. As real as Josh is Canadian. Weghorst will not be sold for under 40-50. He's not worth it. I think that's a little steep for Weghorst, but I'd expect we could probably get him for 30 if we wanted him. But I don't know if Weghorst is the answer regardless, and I don't know if Wolfsburg's willing to sell. Are you involved with the So FIFA group? Great group of supporters over there. I'm not. I mean, I haven't heard of them. So FIFA. Just gonna Google it quickly. I'll have to look at it. I don't know. No, I don't know what it is. But if you want to elaborate, you can feel free to send me a message. Could Chiesa be a replacement for Mbappe for PSG when he goes to Real? Potentially. If you're going to ask me, where's Chiesa going to go? PSG or Dortmund? Probably PSG. They have more money than we do. They could outbid us pretty easily. 20 million is a great price. There's no way he's going for 20, my guy. There's no way. No way. Mario, I'm not sure. I mean, Vlahovic would be a really good signing. That's one that comes to mind. Other clubs like Liverpool are willing to spend up to 100 million for Chiesa. I personally think he's not worth that much, and we could get someone like Vlahovic who's cheaper and fits our profile, and that's fair. If Malen turns out to be more of a winger than a striker, then yeah, bring in a Weghorst, bring in a Kramaric, bring in a Vlahovic. I mean, I absolutely agree with that. Chiesa, we're not going to get, guys. Let's be realistic. There's no way Chiesa goes... He's not going to go for 100. I mean, he's probably going to go between 60 and 70, and I don't think Dortmund's going to do that. Check Fabrizio Romano's Twitter. His reputation... I know who Fabrizio is. I still don't buy it. Fabrizio's been wrong a lot. Which is fine. I mean, he's one of... if there's a name I do listen to, it is Fabrizio Romano, but this story is bigger than Fabrizio because there's been so many people, and again, Fabrizio's the biggest name, so I get your point. But there is real hard evidence out there that this release clause may not be there. There's also hard evidence that it is. I'm just saying it'd be naive to think that it's exactly 75 because there's been so many contradicting reports. And I don't know, pull up a tweet. Send me a tweet on Twitter that shows the last time Fabrizio has commented on Haaland's release clause, because I don't know what it is. And he hasn't commented, I don't think, in a while. And if he did, I obviously didn't see it. I'm Swedish, and I honestly don't think Isak is good enough for Dortmund. I would go for Kulusevski or Forsberg. I mean, Forsberg, I don't even want to see him leave Leipzig. I mean, it's the closest thing to a legend they'll ever have. I like Kulusevski. I think he could do for a new start. And I agree with you. I wouldn't want Isak to come back either. I'm sure we don't remember the preseason interview where Haaland say that he still has a contract for a couple years here. Yeah, like I said, don't take my word saying that he has one, and don't take my word that he doesn't. I'm telling you, I don't know. And there's a lot of evidence out there to state that no one really knows except for probably Haaland and his agent. And maybe Fabrizio. I don't know. No, Dortmund don't have a buyback, so Sociedad paid us this summer to remove it. That is correct. Correct, but you can copy and paste a Twitter link confirming the release clause then. Yeah. Send me it on Twitter. Did you guys send it on Twitter? Gonna go over there. Send me notifications if you guys want me to look into it. It's an interesting subject, man, and you guys you very well may be right, but I don't know. I just think that there's so much around the story that it's not cut and clean, which is why we do these debates. It makes it fun, man. And everyone has a different opinion, and I'm not saying I'm right. I could be very, very off. Worst case scenario, maybe he has got a 68 million release clause. Maybe he does. But find me hard evidence, and I challenge you guys, find me hard evidence. Go over to Twitter right there, TV_JJD, send me a message, be like, Josh, look at that. That's hard evidence. And maybe it'll sway my opinions, but I've read too much about his release clause to be able to sit here confidently and say he does have one, he doesn't have one, or even how much it is. And that's all to say, and that's all fine, but that's all to say that Dortmund don't offer him a new contract that gets rid of any release clause that's there and ups his wages. There's always something into play. But yeah, I don't know. A lot of comments coming in, guys. If you haven't done so yet, drop a like on the stream. Appreciate you guys coming in here after the shit show that was trying to get this thing going with StreamYard being weird and Streamlabs being weird. It was wild. Growing a beard. You like it? It's getting lazy. It's getting a little lazy. I'll try to find the original. Do it, my man. Send it over to me. And if he has a release clause, Dortmund can get rid of it by renewing his... There you go. You took the words right out of my mouth, Fernando. Man, I had a bad day today, but the news Chiesa links to Dortmund makes me happy. I just want BVB not to give me a heart attack every game. Cheers, my man. Sorry to hear about your bad day. Unfortunately, though, I wouldn't take the Chiesa links too seriously yet. I wouldn't rule them out completely. Like I said, if we sell Haaland for 150, let's just say, and this is all, remember, all theoretical, hypothetical. It's not facts. But if we somehow sell Haaland for a lot of money, we may be able to get a player like Chiesa for that amount of money. But I wouldn't sit on it being like Chiesa is going to be a Dortmund player next year. I wouldn't. Let's get Jonathan David to replace Haaland. Every time I talk about Jonathan David replacing Haaland, I get yelled at. Green Terror says, Callum Hudson-Odoi is wasted at Chelsea. I pray he joins Dortmund in January. And that, if you guys literally are asking me what's a realistic transfer for Dortmund, Callum Hudson-Odoi still is, but on a loan. Or a player like him. I see if we stick with the 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, there's a probable chance we may go out and find a loan signing for a winger. And if Callum Hudson-Odoi is still getting wasted away at Chelsea, which everyone knew he would, we may spark that interest again and pick him up for 6 months on a loan deal. But Green Turf, hope you're doing well, my man. Hope you're doing well. Hi, Josh. What would be your dream replacement for Haaland? Keep it a bit realistic for me. It's Vlahovic. I'll give you two. If we were going to go for an out-and-out number 9, that means that Malen thrived this season as a winger, and he's not going to be playing as a striker anymore, then yeah, honestly, I agree. Vlahovic from Fiorentina would be awesome. Like, I hear Lautaro Martinez links. I don't see Lautaro Martinez as a realistic signing for Dortmund. I don't. I do see Vlahovic as one, and I would take him in a heartbeat, and then have Malen on one of the wings, and then hopefully pick up another winger as well. If Malen is to step up and be, which I always thought he would be, the actual Haaland replacement, then we have to turn to a winger for the Sancho replacement. And I mean, I would take Chiesa. I still don't think that's very realistic. So I would probably go to Anthony from Ajax. You underestimate the power of Dortmund. Nico Gonzalez was begging to sign for Dortmund before Fiorentina and Stuttgart and gave Stuttgart 20 million to sign him. And he's doing quite well. He took a stupid red card on the weekend, but he's doing quite well. Kulusevski could replace Sancho, definitely in my opinion. Yeah, he's being wasted at Juve. They play in that 4-4-2 system, which just doesn't suit Kulusevski. I think if we played in a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, playing on that right attacking mid, Kulusevski would shine for Dortmund. Confirms on a podcast. Confirms June 2020, 70 film. Yeah, on a podcast. Like, on come on, my man. I need hard evidence. Honestly, if Fabrizio sat there and said on his podcast or on my podcast, yeah, he's got a release clause of 75. And if nothing else was said about it, I would buy it. But I don't. I don't personally buy it. I don't. There's too many moving parts to it. But maybe that's just my opinion. And I've been a realist, guys. I've said for every question, every single time someone asks me, hey, when's Haaland leaving? I say summer 2022. I'm trying to be as open and honest with you guys as I possibly can. I think that he will probably leave. But I'm still not convinced that there's a release clause. Even without a release clause, I still think he will leave. Just for a lot more money. We don't know. But I'm going to need specifics, my guy. Because like I said, I've heard it over and over again that there's been a release clause of 75. And then we've heard from pretty legitimate sources that there's not one. So I don't know. Back in June 2022, there's a release clause. We're gonna find out. Roma are a much smaller club than Dortmund. If Dortmund really wanted Abraham, they should have got him. I didn't want Abraham. But he's doing well in Roma. What if it was a loan? What if it was a January loan, Josh? Who would you be interested? If this January was for a loan deal, and Roma's not small. That's a little harsh. I would take Callum Hudson-Odoi on a loan because realistically, like I said, if we bring in anyone in January, it will be a loan. Werner doesn't fit our style. Our opponents stay very deep, and Werner needs space. He uses his speed. He won't have space playing with us. Werner would be an interesting one. Werner was being linked to us as well. But I see him similar to Martial. And I do think that he can maybe find some success, but I feel like he needs someone to play off of. Martial can't succeed because of the pressure and when it comes to playing for Manchester United, in my opinion. Werner and Kramaric, if so, Werner don't work out at BVB, we still have Kramaric in behind. It's fair. Why are you so sure that he leaves? Maybe we see Zorg Masterclass and Haaland will stay one more season with much higher. Yeah, I mean, and again, it's opinions, and everyone's got different opinions. I've followed this club so in depthly, and there's a pattern that Dortmund show. And I'm not saying that Haaland's guaranteed to leave this summer. I'm not saying that whatsoever. If I was to lean towards something, and if you guys were to ask me, and I'd like to think that some of the information I tell you guys is somewhat accurate, it all depends on the player. And if Dortmund can't find a way of proving to Haaland that this is the place to be, and a team like City, who, for example, maybe goes to the Champions League final, or maybe Madrid, who then picks up Mbappe, I feel like his head might be turned. However, say Benzema is guaranteed this season and next season, and then there's a spot open at that striker position alongside Mbappe in a couple of year season. Maybe Haaland says, all right, I can stay. I don't know. I just know that it seems to be when players thrive at Dortmund, and come on, guys, we can't get around this. It seems when every player at one point hits that next level, they get a move. Whether they really want the move, like Dembele, or they take an opportunity that comes their way, like Shinji Kagawa. It always seems to happen. Henrik Mkhitaryan, Mario Götze, Mats Hummels. When players are successful at Dortmund, they get snapped up like that. And that's why I think it's funny when someone mentions to me, Josh, what if we win the treble? If we win the treble, say goodbye to all of our players. Like Bellingham, Gio, whoever stepped up that year. Maybe it's Malen, maybe it's Haaland, and then it's like, well, Malen just got here. Dembele just got here. when Dortmund finds success, players leave. It's a weird full circle that happens at this club. So and I try not to get too crazy attached to players that aren't Marco Reus and maybe De Hood. I love Haaland, man, and if we could keep him for 2-3 years, I'd be happier in a pig and shit. But realistically, looking at trends of Dortmund, looking how they work, I guarantee Haaland's gonna have a great year. He's already got 7 goals. And hopefully Dortmund are successful. We're Dortmund fans. We want them to be successful. And that equation equals to Haaland leaving. And I don't see a way around it. So sorry for the long and probably annoying vent to our Dortmund fans. But football is beautiful, and we saw Sancho stay for an extra season, so there's no guarantee. But we're just going to have to wait and see. See what happens with this release clause. But yeah, that was a vent. Getting emotional. Missing all the old Dortmund boys. Remember, guys, what happened with BVB and Andre Schürrle? We bought him so overpriced. Why would Chiesa want to leave the biggest club in Italy to join the second biggest club in Germany? Well, Juve is not in a good place. It's no different than a club. Like, you're telling me if Memphis Depay joined Dortmund this season over Barca, he wouldn't have found more success at Dortmund than Barca? Barca is one of the biggest clubs in Spain, just like Juve is one of the biggest clubs in Italy, but they're having financial troubles. They're struggling like no tomorrow. They may not get Champions League football. How are you the biggest club in Italy if you can't pull off Champions League football? I get your point, but it's not crazy unrealistic to think that Chiesa may want to leave. And comparing Dortmund to Juve right now, I think is a fair comparison, but I still don't think we will get him. Timo Werner is a great player in my opinion. The only reason he's bashed so much is because he does the hard part easily and messes up the simple tasks in match. It's a fair assessment. It's a fair assessment. But yeah, I mean, he became a punching bag over in England. Thoughts on Jane Braff as a winger? I don't have too much opinions on him right yet. I haven't seen him a lot, so I'll have to see how he develops and when he gets first team minutes and what he can do at the top level. But right now, I don't have enough to give you guys. But obviously, I mean, I've talked to him a little bit on the channel before and talked to a couple people who've seen him play, and they say he's a real baller and he's got a big future. Thoughts on Noah Lang for 25 from Club Brugge? It'd be interesting. I mean, he took that number 10 kit and just ran with it at Club Brugge, and he's doing really good things in Belgium. I don't know if 25 is worth it. I don't know if he can do it at this level. But that, for example, more fits the profile player you should expect Dortmund to sign rather than Chiesa. But did you see the Barca Chiesa match? I never expected this performance from from Barca. Kind of feel bad for them. Yeah, did you watch the Granada match? They put in 53 crosses. It was pathetic. It was such a weird game of football, man. Going up the wings, ripping a ball in with looked like Thomas Meunier last year kind of balls. Just atrocious balls, easily defended, but 53 times you saw a ball get whipped in, and that's the style that they're playing. Coleman is going to get sacked sooner rather than later. Even though it's not his fault, this is just what he's left with. What if Haaland stays? Who should we buy next summer? I'm saying we need a new midfielder and a winger and extend Hummel's contract. If Haaland stays, we don't have a lot of money to spend. And you probably see a $20 million piece added somewhere. It's my opinion. But yes, very, very poor performance. And yeah, we'll need a Witsel replacement. And we're light. So arguably when Witsel leaves, we need a CDM. You're spot on. Because we also lost Thomas Delaney. And I don't trust Chan enough to do that job. And as well as De Hood being a little pushed further up the pitch. We do probably still need a winger. Arguably maybe a center back. And if we don't have a body going out, we don't have a lot of money coming in. It's interesting. I don't know, man. Mullen and Mukuku are enough to get some defenders in, please. I'd take Lacroix and maybe a right back. So I wouldn't take a right back anymore. That's definitely not... A right back is not needed. We have Murray coming back, and we have Thomas Meunier on form. We have no reason to pick up a right back. No reason to pick up a left back. Even if it goes on a free. Zero reason to pick Gozens up on a free. We have a player that is a like for like with Guerrero, as well as a backup in Nico. We don't have a need for Gozens. I get your sentiment of where he's coming from. Mullen and Mukuku, I don't know if they're enough. it'll be risky. I could see if Haaland leaves, maybe risk it. I mean, because again, we want Moukoko to take that next step. Malen hopefully will be able to take on the striker role. And then we need a winger, a CDM, and a center back. Lacroix is probably too expensive. I could see us bringing in St. Just on a decent deal. That's realistic. Now we need to spend a little bit more dough in the CDM role as well as a winger. And I don't know what our budget's looking like. But if Haaland goes out, those are the 3 realistic positions I see us addressing. Center back, CDM, winger. And I'll give you 3 names just for fun. St. Just, because that's your budget signing. And decent CB. Maybe a player like Anthony from Ajax. And then maybe a CDM like Bruno Guimaraes from Lyon. Adeyemi's a guy, in my opinion, Salzburg have quoted a price tag of 30 to 35, which is fair. Also, he admitted a fanhood for BVB. Yeah, I can see that. That's a player that Dortmund will definitely look at. Whether we get him or not is yet to see. The pressure of not being able to win even the Europa League trophy. Josh, remember when BVB sale of Sahin to Real, and then Voxel said BVB will not do what it will not do or let it cost in contracts anymore. I'm assuming that meant release clauses. Yeah, I do. And he failed miserably and came back. Royce and Werner and Great can be an awesome duo. Josh, you DM me on Twitter. Let's go over to Twitter. Next, let's take a look. February 18th, Borussia Dortmund. Yeah, but man, Borussia Dortmund general director 3 months ago in November. There's no release clause in the summer of 2021 for Erling Haaland. It's always been considered as valid, only starting summer of 2022. But it's a private agreement. So, I mean, there you go. I still don't think that's enough evidence to still show that there is one because of all the news you think. But notice how you sort of made a point for me. There's no price. It could be 150 mil for all we know. But yeah, I mean, I guess you're both kind of right, both kind of wrong. If that's true. But again, there's been so many stories saying now it's not even real. I think it'd be interesting to see what Fabrizio's next tweet is. There you go. We'll put it at that. Well, let's see what Fabrizio's next tweet on the subject is. Because if he's still very adamant there's a release clause, which he's, again, just right then and there, never stated exactly what it was. It's undisclosed, which means it could be 120 mil. Great piece of business. It could be 75. We don't know. But I think keep an eye on the story for everyone, because whether you want to believe there's a release clause or not, there's definitely no evidence to show what the price is. But yeah, I think it's a fair assumption from myself. Wait till Fabrizio touches on the subject again, and I think it'll be interesting to see what he says. Because again, guys, I don't know. I don't know if there is one, if there isn't one. I definitely know that no price has been established. Depay would have been a good signing next year. He's only got 1 year. He only have 1 year left on Barca. He signed a 3-year deal with Barca. Lacroix might be the number 1 target next summer. No striker. Even if we lose Haaland next year, I would invest money in defense first. I don't see Chiesa or Werner. Maybe Hudson-Odoi in January. I don't see Chiesa and Werner as well. Hudson-Odoi on loan in January. Yeah, hopefully. I would love for him to come in and see what he can do. It depends. Lacroix, yes, it would be a lot of people's number 1, but Dortmund don't spend a lot of money. Even if we get a crap load of money from Haaland, you need to find a way to budget. I think a winger is important. I think a CDM is important, and I think a center back is important. Would I give up Lacroix for St. Just if that meant to put a little bit more money in a CDM and a winger? Absolutely. I don't think we'll ever sign Lacroix, in my honest opinion. I do think there's a possibility maybe we sign a player similar to St. Just or St. Just, and then we got to look at a CDM and then a winger. Maybe bring in a loan for a year on Hudson-Odoi. We get him on loan for a year and a half. But I wouldn't rule out signing a striker either, depending how Malen does. Because I've seen signs that kind of look like Malen may thrive as a winger. But if not, he's going to have to step up as a CB. Maybe Barca, if they have another bad year, you could get him. I don't think Depay will come back. I think Depay wants to be at Barca regardless of the circumstances. What happens to Luka Jovic? I could see him back in the Bundesliga. He's being linked to Serie A right now. There's been links of him to both Inter and AC Milan. I think that he'd fit in AC Milan pretty nicely. Link back up with Rebic. We do still have him. He's not going to touch the field, though, unfortunately for us. That's a fact. Dortmund have to renew Guerrero, Kanji, Dahoud, Haaland ASAP. I will second that motion. Next summer, Haaland and Hummels out. Hummels won't go out. Werner, Pongracic, Lacroix in a winger. Interesting. Hummels won't go, though, my man. Yusuf. Haaland, there's a chance. Werner, I doubt will come. I really do. Some bold claims, though. Is that what you want to see? With the buy. I think there's a chance that they'll buy him. I could also see, guys, I'm calling it right here. I could also see Pongracic struggle for game time. It sounds crazy, I know, but watch how Dortmund work. And now we have a new manager, so maybe this claim is going to go on deaf ears. But we tend to like to play a similar type of players. And if Kanji and Hummels stay healthy, Pongracic is going to have a lot of struggle in my eyes to actually hit the pitch this year. Royce could be out for tomorrow's game. Well, that's not good news. Where do you hear that? I haven't looked up on social media since I went live here, but that is not what you want to hear. Zakaria could be potentially on a free. I've heard that Gladbach are going to re-sign him. We're going to have to wait and see. He'd be a good little pickup. I think that Haaland clause is fake news. Fake news, you snooze. I kind of agree with you. But we're going to have to wait and see. Hummels is one of my favorite players ever, but he's nearing the end of his career and he's way too slow. I don't think he's gonna leave just because I think more than likely he's gonna probably finish up his career here. We need a CDM to replace aging Witsel like Zakaria. If Zakaria doesn't get re-signed, then yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Pongracic could play defensive midfielder. He's done it before. Witsel replacement in the making. That would anger me. That would anger me because I've never seen him play a full season as a CDM, not at this level, and not even for Dortmund. So no, I like your sentiment, and who knows? It's a long season, but in my opinion, guys, we may not even sign him. We're gonna have to keep an eye on what's gonna be happening for the upcoming games, because if Akanji and Hummels are healthy, and then Chan coming back on top of that, if we go into a back three, Pongracic is going to be down the pecking order. And if he can't find a way to break in, he doesn't get a lot of minutes. And if he doesn't get a lot of minutes, we may not get him. It's happened before. It's going to happen again. But there's also a chance that he steps up when we really need him. But I doubt it will be in the defensive midfield. You say Dortmund doesn't spend much money on players. We're the second biggest club in Germany, and Leipzig is strongly linked to Lacroix. Why can they spend the money on a great player and we can't? So, I mean, good point you made. I didn't say that we don't spend money. I said we don't, and maybe I didn't phrase it properly. Because you're spot on. Remember this season we brought in Schultz, Hummels, Brandt, and Hazard? A lot of money. We don't spend an enormous amount of money on single players. We don't do it. And I think Lacroix, and I'm not saying Lacroix is unrealistic. I'm not. I'm saying next summer, we need replacements for the wings. We need replacements for a CDM. And then maybe just add depth to the CB position. But if I know Dortmund like I do, and Lacroix, whether he's available or not, or Pongracic or St. Just, Dortmund often go with the cheaper alternative, and it may be Pongracic for that reason. And then there is our CB that we signed permanently. But yeah, we do spend money, and I don't think that there's gonna be, especially if Haaland leaves, we'll probably bring in 3-4 bodies, but it won't be like a 70 million Chiesa or something like that. I think we may break our record, especially with huge money from Haaland, but I see it being like 40 to 50 mil for a record signing, and then maybe like 20 and 25 on other signings. But again, it's all speculative. I can see someone like Ruben Vargas from Augsburg coming in. I mean, I personally hope not, but yeah, that kind of fits the profile of player. A risky a low risk reward type deal with Ruben Vargas, and may take an opportunity to shine. So yeah, it's not a bad shout. It's a realistic signing. I'd hope we go for something or someone a little bit better. João Felix isn't having the best of times at Atletico at the moment. Would be cool to see BVB in on a 6-month loan. It's a fair statement. I don't know if we could pull off João Felix or not, but I don't think he'd do any better. If he can't, he's coming from Portugal to Spain. You'd think, like, all things aside, he should have fit in. Maybe it's Diego Simeone's system, which probably it is. I wouldn't be against it. Guerrero is not that good defensively. You are onto something. Because you were right. Diogo Dalot has been pretty good whenever he plays for United, so we should have tried him in January. I don't think we're going to address the right back position, guys. We have options there. There's no reason really to. With Thomas Meunier finding form like he is, Murray will come back eventually. Emery Chan can play there, and like it or not, we have Paslak. That's 4 options, or at least bare minimum 3 options this season. We need a winger because we just don't have enough there. I do not support Dortmund. You're a United fan, right? Or yeah, United fan. Crazy how our record signing is Hummel, sold him in his prime for cheap and overpaid to bring him back. Makes me so mad. Schürrle is pretty high up there as well, but should make you more mad. There you go. We need to break our record soon. I'm hoping this summer we go out there and we spend over 40 and bring in our new record signing. Someone who deservedly so should be up there. My team has Wan-Bissaka and Diogo Dalot. Lindelof, the Swedish captain who can play there. Bayern have 4 wingers. Dortmund have none. We have Hazard, and now I guess we're forcing a striker and Malen as a winger. Royce has been put out there. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think about City rejecting 15 million? Well, maybe they're trying to not lose out on a player similar who could have potential like Sancho. I think losing Sancho the way they did makes them very skeptical about letting players. So yeah, I see it. But we're gonna go for the last question of the day. I think without Malen, we still would have scored goals this season. But if we spent the Sancho money on Lacroix, we would have conceded much less. He would change us to title contenders. Real high praise, which I mean, I disagree with your statement. I think if we... Or actually, no. I don't disagree with your statement. I thought you were saying if we would have lost Haaland, but no, you're saying without Malen, we would have still scored goals, which I agree with. And if we added Lacroix, we would have conceded less. I also agree with. I do agree with that, 100%. And that's a hindsight question. If we would have brought in Lacroix then over Malen, would we have been in a better place than we were right now? Maybe, maybe not. Would we have conceded less? Probably, definitely. Especially those first games of the season, having Lacroix in there with Akanji would have been a nice partnership. And then Malen hasn't had the greatest starts to Dortmund, so I absolutely do agree with that. Would Marius Wolf bring in some good money? No, he would bring in like 10 mil at the absolute max. But this is actually the last question today. We should play Guerrero higher up the pitch. If we play Guerrero up the pitch, guys, it'd be in a 3-4-2-1, and it would be Pongacic or Chan at center back with Akanji on the other outside center back, Hummels in the middle, Meunier and Guerrero. And I'm down to see that. But we're going to wrap it up for there today, guys. Fun little debate. It was a real debate today. The biggest debate went around what the heck is going on with Erling Haaland's release clause, and we don't know. But regardless, I appreciate you guys tuning in today. I think we can all agree on a few things, whether we agree on the Haaland release clause or not. We probably agree that Martial and Chiesa are not coming to Dortmund. But it was a fun debate regardless. So I appreciate you guys tuning in today. Be sure to drop a like on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. And we'll see you guys tomorrow for the match watch along. Take care, friends. Cheers.